This isn't something I plan on doing regularly, but I thought it would be fun to break down frame by frame the newly released trailer for Transformers 1 and point out all the fun details and nods to the franchise throughout. If you want to see more Transformers or animation content in the future, leave a like or a comment down below and tell me what you'd like to see. Our trailer starts with Orion Pax, aka Optimus Prime, and D16, aka Megatron, sitting in what seems to be a small workspace, and their dialogue hints that for whatever reason they're in this room, they're in trouble for something. And D16 doesn't seem too happy with Orion. Immediately, something interesting to me in this shot is that we can see that D16 already has a Decepticon insignia on his left shoulder. We don't actually see a single Autobot insignia for the rest of this trailer, not even on Sentinel Prime, so we're not sure from this trailer if the two factions already exist, or if the Decepticon insignia has some other meaning at this point in Cybertronian history. After some bickering between our main characters, an unnamed bot comes to move the two to another location where he tells them to report to Waste Management. Here we're introduced to B-127, aka Bumblebee. We then cut to a shot of Optimus Prime falling through a hole into a cave of some sorts, judging by the metallic-looking rock-like formations around him. We can assume this is Optimus Prime due to what looks like a faceplate that we don't see Orion sporting for the rest of the trailer, and what appears to be the Matrix of Leadership now being held in his chest. We cut from this to a shot of Orion, D16, B, and Elita 1 entering what seems to be the lair of Alpha Trion, who we see later in this trailer. We then see a shot of some kind of digging equipment cutting into some glowing stone. Usually a purple glowing rock in Transformers is a telltale sign of Dark Energon, the blood of Unicron, though I'm not positive the substance will play any part in this film. Our next shot shows Orion, Megs, and B riding on top of some sort of crane, overlooking other worker bots, where Orion says that worker bots like themselves can't even transform, hinting that only the elites of Cybertron are given transformation cogs. I assume the absence of Elita in this shot means that we're watching the trio escaping the facility where they work. We then get a brief shot of some Cybertronian buildings with text over them, which has been translated by Protoman of the Transformers Slag podcast, which will be linked in the description of this video. Check out his video for his own breakdown of this trailer and its Easter eggs. We then see Orion and D16 standing in front of a promotion for the Iacon 5000, which is an extremely deep cut of the Transformers franchise that has never been brought up outside of Transformers books and comics. The trailer cuts to a shot of D16 looking distraught over something, which I assume connects to the shot after this one that we'll get to in just a second. We see a shot of what appears to be Megatron in the future, sporting a similar if not the same helmet design we see on D16 after the group receives their transformation cogs. We see a freshly heated Decepticon branding before cutting to D16 sitting in front of what appears to be the head of some ancient Cybertronian, which is obviously extremely similar to D16's Decepticon insignia. Its head looks very similar to the mask worn by the character Tarn from the Transformers comics, but Tarn worships Megatron and the Decepticon cause long after the war begins, so it's probably safe to assume that this is not the same character. After this shot, we see a massive ship landing on the ground in front of a group of Cybertronians. It's unknown to us right now if this ship belongs to the Cybertronians or the film's antagonists, who we see later. The trailer continues and we see Orion put a jetpack on D16, who is confused by this, and then we see the two flying through what seems to be a race. My assumption being that Orion plans to try winning the Iacon 5000 by using jetpacks, and this may be the event that leads to the two getting in trouble and sent to Waste Management. After this, we see our four main characters ride a train that seems to lead to the surface of Cybertron. I'm not sure if this shot of the train breaking apart is directly after they break through the surface, or if it's shortly afterwards, because it appears that the constant changing of the environment we see in this shot is what derails the train. On the surface of Cybertron, we see that there is not only robotic wildlife, but also grass, moss, and maybe even flowers growing on the metal planet. In this shot, our team watches as an unknown blast hits one of the animals on the surface, and these buildings in the background seem to be some sort of ancient Cybertronian structures. We then see this amusing shot of the group staring in horror at something, which I would guess is the changing geometry of the surface coming towards the train, like we saw earlier. We then see our group again at Alpha Trion's cave, and we see the body of an ancient Cybertronian with large wings. If I had to guess, due to the wings, the long claws, and bird-like crest on the being's forehead, I think this is the body of Onyx Prime, one of the original 13 primes of Cybertron's ancient past. The color scheme of this body also bears resemblance to the look Onyx had in the IDW comics. Usually, Onyx Prime has legs that make him appear as a centaur, but it's hard to tell at this angle if this body has 4 legs or 2. My theory is that Alpha Trion is the last surviving member of the original 13 primes, and that would explain why he resides in this cave alongside the bodies of his fallen comrades, but this is pure speculation on my part. When Alpha Trion gives our main characters their transformation cogs, it appears he's removing the cogs from several other bodies scattered around the room as well, but these bodies are a lot harder to get a proper look at. In this shot and a few others throughout the trailer, we see what appears to be Viacon drones, which is a breath of fresh air after the Bay movies copy and fast-paced, ugly bugs and alien-looking Decepticons, and Rise of the Beast's horde of infinite Scorponok drones. They have a similar look to the drones from Transformers Prime, with their pointed ears, emotionless faces, and sharp protrusions from their back. After watching the group attempt to transform, we see Orion and D-16 watch as a swarm of alien ships descends to the planet. I'm not positive, but in the background here, it looks like the villains of this movie came from the same purple ship we saw earlier. Due to the shaping and the tentacles of these creatures, they have a resemblance to the Quintessons from the wider Transformers franchise, who haven't appeared in a Transformers movie since the original 1986 film. If this is the Quintessons, it's crazy to me that it took this long to see them again on the big screen after the dumpster fire that was Quintessa, who did not count. It's also in this shot where we get our first look at what appears to be Sentinel Prime, voiced in this movie by John Hamm. In this brief shot before an explosion happens, this group shot appears to have several Seekers in it, Seekers being the jet transformers that Starscream hails from. And one of my favorite shots in this trailer shows what appears to be Arachnid, one of the original characters from Transformers Prime. It's unclear if she'll serve any purpose in this plot outside of this cameo, but either way, it's nice to see the Prime series getting a little love in more ways than one in this movie. And the shot the rest of the fandom is going nuts over is this shot, which clearly shows Soundwave, Starscream, and Shockwave. It's unclear if this is a look into the future after Megatron has already formed the Decepticons, or if the throne we see in this background is actually Starscream's, since he appears to be walking down the steps from it. Considering this is Starscream, it could really go in either direction. Then we see here in this shot some kind of Cybertronian beast charging a Viacon, and this looks to be the alt mode of Alpha Trion, judging by the beast mode that his toy was revealed to have. Then we get a shot of another Seeker attacking what looks like an air Viacon, and this appears to be Skywarp. Depending on the frame, the grays almost look blue, but I think this is Skywarp and not Slipstream, but I would love to see her in this movie too. If we can get two of the best female Decepticons in the same movie, even as cameos, that would be awesome. Lastly, we see a Golden Viacon go to punch B, who's revealed to have a battle mask that looks very similar to his original G1 toy. And then we get some Transformers animated love as well, as we see that B also has his Stinger Blade, which debuted in that show. And that's everything I found for interesting background details and Easter eggs, as well as some guesses as to where the plot of this movie might be going. The response to this trailer has been pretty mixed, but I am super excited for this movie. This trailer not only shows to me that there will be more depth to this film than just a family comedy, but the nods and references to the past shows and comic books proves that the team behind this movie know Transformers and want to give the fans plenty of background details that will not only please the casual fans who may have only seen some of the shows and movies, but also the die-hard fans who have read the comics and know so many of these characters, major or minor. We'll have to see when the movie comes out in September, but if you guys want to see another breakdown if we get a second trailer, then please tell me in the comments or leave a like on the video. I know I didn't review every single frame of this trailer, but I wanted to touch on the things that caught my eye and the details I thought were fun to point out for those that may not know about the franchise as much as nerds like me. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.